If you have seen my videos on Creep 2 and Outlaw King, you may find that both films impressed me and would have to go on my top 10 list of good films. But now I'm putting both movies to the test to see which one has better story, characters, camera work and editing, entertainment and overall quality. Welcome to the series compared. First off, let's look at camera work. Both films have great camera work, but Creep 2 has a very unique style of camera work, and this is found footage. This found footage style definitely works for the genre Creep 2 fits in, which is horror comedy, and makes you feel like you're in the film, experiencing the disturbing yet funny scenes you get in Creep 2. Though that is very good, Outlaw King has very good quality and the graphics are great. For example, in Outlaw King you have stunning shots that develop the full picture of what it would be like in that era. Though these are both great ways to use the camera, one has to win this round, and this round goes to Creep 2. This was a very hard one, but I chose Creep 2 because how unique the filming style is. Now to editing. With editing, it is pretty easy to decide which one the winner will be. This is because Creep 2 has absolutely no editing and is just raw footage, whereas Outlaw King has gore and effects, which by the way, are very realistic and gory. So the winner of editing goes to Outlaw King. Now entertainment is a very hard topic, since everyone has different tastes when it comes to enjoyment of movies. Because of this, I'm going to go off of my opinion and solely my opinion. Let's look at Creep 2 first. Creep 2 is a pretty entertaining movie of the comedy horror blend, and Creep 2 does this really well. Unlike the first Creep film, you don't get the comedy from the fact that Sarah, the victim in Creep 2, is not frightened of the creep's tactics, which just shows the pure stupidness of his jump scares. But at the same time though, Creep 2 has really frightening scenes like the forest scene, where the creep attempts to stab himself and tries to persuade Sarah into doing the same thing. This scene is very thrilling and gets the viewer engaged. Whilst that is very good, Outlaw King's entertainment is great as well. This is because of the battle scenes and duels you see in this movie. For example, the Battle of Lowdown Hill at the end of the movie was one of my favorite medieval battles in film. This scene uses some heavy gore, some great shots and camera angles, and overall a feel for the Scottish warriors against the giant army of England invading. Other than that, this film does pretty well keeping the viewers engaged throughout the movie, but in my opinion, not as engaging as Creep 2. And this is why the winner of this round goes to Creep 2. Story-wise, both movies do great in this part, but if you watched my video on Outlaw King, you would know about my rant on its historical accuracy. Though Outlaw King's historical accuracy was not so good, I mentioned that this film smoothly collects all the events and puts them together pretty well, making a pretty smooth story. But the thing is with Outlaw King, is that it's based on a true story, so not much creativity has to go into it. But hold up. I'm not saying this movie wasn't creative or didn't use the evidence they had about Robert the Bruce wisely. I never said that. All I said was that it doesn't take full creativity to make a film like this. Whilst Creep 2 was all created in the writers-directors' heads, which makes the story fully created. Now before we say Creep 2 wins this round, we need to see if Creep 2's actual storyline is a good concept and idea. Creep 2 follows off from the first movie, Creep, pretty smoothly, and the concept of the film is a serial killer who doesn't see killing as a pleasurable experience anymore, and decides to let a new victim in and change things up, like opening up to the victim about his crimes. But the twist is the new victim, Sarah, is also trying to get something out of him, since her web series is dying and she needs a good story that will make her view count go up. Now this concept is pretty unique, and I have never seen this before in a horror film, but let's move on to Outlaw King's story. Outlaw King is based on Robert the Bruce's time ruling Scotland and how he fends off the English using strategical battle techniques, and on the way to this uprising, He picks up a few warriors willing to fight for their country of Scotland. Now, both of these stories are pretty good and work well in their own right. But it's kind of impossible to rate them because certain people have different film tastes and different movie genres they enjoy. This one is going to have to be a tie. Both films have a set of main characters, but the catch is Creep 2 only has 2 main characters you see on screen, and they're technically the only characters you see in the entire movie. Whilst Outlaw King has tens of thousands of people you see on the screen, so I'll only be judging the main characters. First let's look at Creep 2's characters, Sarah, and for the sake of video, we will call Joseph. Joseph is the main character of both Creep and Creep 2 and is the serial killer of both Creep and Creep 2. Whilst Sarah is the victim of Creep 2. Sarah's character is very unique, since she's not like the normal victim you would see in a horror movie like this. She makes herself very dominant against Joseph and is usually the one pushing him around. This ultimately makes Joseph feel very confused, as his tactics and jump scares don't work with her. The connection between these characters is one of a kind, and the writers and directors really established it really well. But when Joseph finds out it's all for fame, he starts pulling off some big brain strats. These characters are great, though Outlaw King has some good characters too. Outlaw King's main character is Robert the Bruce, the King of Scotland at the time, and the character relationships with other people are not the best and very generic. But one character from Outlaw King that I strongly appreciate is Douglas. He's really a great character, and the actor of Douglas, Aaron Taylor Johnson, did really well performing his anger and revengefulness. But the winner of this round will have to again go to Creep 2. Looking at the stats, we can see that Creep 2 absolutely kills Outlaw King in most of the sections, so that is our winner today, Creep 2. I would put an exclamation mark but in this text-to-speech software it only talks in one tone of voice, so, if when explaining exciting things I sound bland, it's just the text-to-speech. Also, if you made it this far, which I know none of you will, please tell me in the comments because a lot of work goes into these videos and support would be appreciated. And as always, check your temperature, you may have the contagion.